What up, everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome. And I am today really excited to chat with you all. And for those of you guys who maybe were expecting me to come in and do this yesterday, appreciate your patience. Had a kid or a newborn who just does not want to sleep right now. And any parents out there, I'm sure you know how that goes. So we'll see how this goes. I don't know if anybody's going to actually attend live on a Saturday, but hopefully you watch this. Hopefully you catch the replay. If you are watching this in the replay, just comment if you don't mind. Comment below, just replay. And if you are watching this live, what's up? I'm going to go ahead and just dive right in. Super excited to share this with you. And what I'm going to share are two simple levers that you can pull that have to do with your sales process that can drastically change your business. That can literally grow your business anywhere from 25% all the way up to 50% virtually overnight by making a few simple shifts. And this is not going to this won't require you to have to add more leads or do anything marketing related. It's literally just making more with what you already currently have. All right. So I'm going to share my screen. We'll dive right in. We're right about 3 o'clock here. And I actually went through the labor of creating a little PowerPoint for you guys here. So you have some visuals. So again, what we're going to cover today are the two simple sales profit levers that we use in our mentorship. And we've also used this in our own online fitness business to grow students' businesses by anywhere from 25 to 50% virtually overnight. And again, it's not going to need you to send more cold DMs or to get any more leads or any kind of other sales or marketing gimmicks. All right. So what this actually entails is this. Let me just jump in. I want to share with you a quick visual. All right. So this visual is what is most important in your business, depending on the phase that you're in. So this is a order of importance pyramid, similar to maybe those of you guys are familiar with like Eric Helms or the nutrition pyramids, the strength and nutrition pyramids. So at the very base of this is what's most important. And then it goes up to what's least important. All right. So when we're at that like 0 to 10K month mark, when we're kind of new in our business, what's most important? Well, here's what it is. Sales. Okay. Sales is literally the fuel that drives your business train. If you don't have sales, it doesn't matter. You don't have a P&L or profit and loss statement because you don't have money. You're not making any money. It doesn't matter what you're doing in your marketing because if you don't have sales, it doesn't matter. And your offer and results, if you don't have anybody to help, then you can never give your offer to anybody. You can never get results. So that's why you want to create a product and a service that's minimally viable. It's just good enough. And then the goal of sales is to get people into that program so that you can start making it better. All right. Period. Now we eventually get to a point where maybe we're over that 10K a month mark. And then what's most important to get to like, beyond that 30, 40, 50, $100,000 months, whatever it might be, whatever your goal is, your profit and loss ends up being very important. Then how we actually retain clients, much more than getting new clients, it's how we retain them. Then sales is still there. And then marketing is all the way at the very top, very tippity top. Okay. So I share that with you because depending on where you're at, kind of depends on how you should view this. Okay. But no matter what, if you can just do these couple of things, you're going to crush it. And I share that order of importance pyramid as well is because there's this quote that I love from Naval Ramakant, who shared this. He says, you're doing sales because you failed at marketing. You're doing marketing because you failed at product. So if we go back to this, what happens with a lot of coaches or business owners is they're able to get to like, let's say 5, 7, 10K months. Then they become still so hyper-focused on sales and marketing because their product and their delivery and their service isn't very good. So they're having to rely on these two things, right? What if we were able to just keep clients for a long time, like our client Vanessa, who she was able to grow a $720,000 a year business by signing just 2 clients per week. That's it. Why? Because she has really strong retention. So just keep that in mind. Now, what we're going to talk about here, again, let's go and jump into the sales constraints. So what I'm going to share with you are the 4 most common issues that you might be having with your sales process. The first 2 are what are most important and the easiest to fix too. So I'm about to blow your minds. All right. You ready? For those of you guys who are watching live, looks like we got about 3 of you. It's a Saturday afternoon. I don't blame you guys, but let's just define some key terms. What's going to be important here too is that you understand how to track your sales stats so that you know if what I'm about to share is even an issue. So if you're not tracking, then you have no way of knowing how you're doing, right? It'd be like pursuing a weight loss goal, literally just guessing, right? Or doing that with your clients. Could you imagine coaching clients, but not doing anything to measure their progress, not even looking at photos. You're literally just like, hey, tell me how you're doing today. What are they going to say? They're going to be like, I'm doing terrible. Like, I'm not losing weight fast enough. This is hard, right? That's why we track and we have quantifiable measurements and metric to refer back to say, hey, look, you actually are making progress. It doesn't feel that way. But or maybe they're not. Maybe they're not making progress. And if we're not measuring, we'd have no way of knowing that. So that's why these key terms are so important. So first is just closes. How many closes do you have during a defined period? Okay. Then we have revenue generated, which is the total amount that you've contracted during a period. All right, let's just take it, for a month worth. Then we have cash collected. Different than contracted is how much you actually collected on the sale, right? Maybe you sell a $2,000, 90-day program and somebody puts $1,000 down. That means you've contracted 2,000, you've collected 1,000. Okay. And then that gives you your collected percentage, which is simply your cash collected divided by revenue generated. You're looking for anywhere between over 35%. Anything under 35%, it's going to cause issues because if somebody's not putting at least 35% down, then the offer and the program isn't very sticky. Now, what I mean when I say sticky is their likelihood of having success. Right? If somebody pays in full, they're way more likely to succeed than somebody who just puts like 10% down because they don't have much skin in the game. And they're much less likely, or you're much less likely as a business owner to actually collect on that contract, right? So you want to make sure you're getting at least 35% down, but the more the better because it's more sticky, you're going to get better results and your selected rates are going to be higher. So here are that's kind of like the preamble or the prefix, okay? So here are the 4 sales constraints that you need to be aware of. And 2 of them we're really going to dive into today. So that has to do with closing rate, show rate. And then the 3rd thing is availability. And the 4th thing is managing and scaling a sales team. The majority of you are probably only worried about these 2. These 2 at the bottom, they come, here's when they come. So this is really predicated on the first 2. This is predicated on the second 2, scaling. Okay. So we have close rate and show rate is what's most important here. And then over here, we get into total call availability and eventually outsourcing and scaling your sales team. All right. So let's talk about these. Let's unpack them. So with close rate, what's close rate mean? Simply put, it's just the total closes you've taken divided by total calls you've taken. Okay. So total new customers you've signed divided by total live calls. So what's good and what's bad? Generally speaking, you should be closing anywhere from 50 to 60%. If you have a, established brand, or as long as you're not selling to like cold people who have no idea who you are, maybe you took somebody from an ad and they have no clue who you are, then it's hard to close at 50 to 60%. But if you're marketing on social media and you have people who know you, at least they know who you are, you should be closing at 50 to 60%. Now, if you're closing higher than that, like let's say you're closing at 80%, that might not be good either. That might mean your prices are too low, right? So this is kind of a sweet spot as long as your pricing is strong, okay? So now if you're closing at 80%, but you're charging a really good amount, I'd still probably tell you to look at raising your prices. You're better off at closing, 50 to 65, 70% with higher prices than you are like having a really cheap offer that, yeah, anybody will buy it, but you're getting shitty clients. They're not following through and it's just not a good thing. So cold traffic, this is if you're running ads or you have people that don't know, like, and trust you. The general KPI in this industry is like 20%. But in IFCA, our students close on average 50 to 60% for prices on average $500 a month and above. So what would happen here? Let me just blow your mind real quick. What would happen if we took our close rate from 40% to 60%? Okay. Let's take this as an example. Let's say that we're selling a $2,000 package for 90 days. And our collected rate is 40% on average. And let's say we took 45 calls during a given period. Let's just say that's a month. So what would happen again if we went from 40 to 60%? Let's look at it. If we do nothing else, if we just increase our close rate, we've just grown our business by 50% without doing anything else. Okay, we've just literally 50%. Our closes will have gone from 18 to 27. We'll have generated from 36,000 to 54,000 in revenue, and we'll have collected from 14,400 all the way up to 21,600, like that, just by fixing our close rates. Okay. So if you're thinking about your business and you're like, hey, what do I need to work on? What if you could just close a few more deals and you don't have to do anything else? You don't have to send more DMs. You don't have to create more content. You don't have to, find more leads or anything else. You just fix this one thing. That the cool thing about this is it is very solvable. It's not hard to get better at this. You just have to focus on it. So how do we improve close rates? Well, first thing is just having a proven roadmap and script that works. Okay. A lot of people will tell you don't use a script. Well, I think those people are wrong. And eventually you won't need it. But if you're not closing very effectively, then you can know exactly what to say and how to say it to get somebody to commit. So when we're thinking about a sales call, we only have two jobs on that sales call. Okay. Only two things that matter. Number one is to determine if we can help the person that we're on the phone with. And number two, if we feel like we can, then we have to help them make the best decision for them to solve the problem that we know we can help them with, which 99% of the time is going to come outside of their comfort zone. Okay. It's going to require us to challenge them a little bit. So we use this framework in IFCA. I'm not going to go super deep into it, but here's just generally the overview of our sales scripts. All right. Now, maybe you're not using a sales call, right? That's a problem too. Maybe you just share prices through DMs. Maybe you have a landing page that's like, hey, it's $200 a month. Here's why that's a problem. All right. So imagine if you're going dress shopping, if you're a female, or if you're a guy, maybe you wear dresses. I don't know. I'm not here to judge, but maybe you're shopping for a dress for a special event. So you and your husband or boyfriend, you go to a store and you walk in a really nice luxury store and you see a dress that you really like. So you grab it and you look for the price, but the price isn't on there. So you're like, well, I'm going to try it on anyways. Go to the dressing room, you try it on, you come out, you show your significant other, and he's floored. He's like, oh my gosh, you look beautiful. This is incredible. Like, man, look at you. You're glowing. I want to fucking take you into the dressing room right now and have my way with you. You get the point. So what are you going to do? You're going to take that dress up to the cashier and you're going to be like, hey, how much is this? Well, when the cashier tells you that it's $2,000, you're much more likely to now want to purchase that dress. Why? Because you've now ascribed the value of that dress in proportion to the price. You felt what it feels like. You've had an experience. You see the value of that dress outside of just the price tag. If you would have walked in and saw $2,000 on that dress, you would have never tried it on. So that's the same thing that applies with your programs or with your coaching. You need to speak with people to present the value and the experience that they're going to actually have and how solving this problem is truly going to help them. And they're going to understand why it's worth and why it's valued at this much now. Okay. So this is called our selling script. Okay. And it starts with state. Give yourself a pep talk before every call. Pretend like it's your mom or best friend on the other line. And they just found out that they have, heart issues or diabetes, or they need stress management help ASAP, or else they're going to have serious health implications. Would you just let them tell you, oh, I can't afford it, and be like, okay, cool. Right? No, because you would have an obligation to convince your mom to solve this problem, or convince your friend that they need to solve this problem. The second thing is getting in a good state. It cannot be about money. Okay. You have to want to help people more than you want to actually make money, period. If you're thinking, oh, I need this sale, then every time you respond to an objection or a challenge, you're going to feel icky inside. But if your main intent is truly to help people, then you're going to feel that deep obligation to convince people as to why they need your offer, why they need your service. Okay. It's not that money is not important, but it just can't be the most important thing. All right. So remember, this is not a sales call. This is a coaching call, period. And out of every 10 people that you get on a call with, 2 people are going to say yes, no matter what. They're going to just give you your money. The other 2 people, they're probably going to say no matter what. They're just window shopping. But a coach, somebody who cares more about people than they do money, and who actually looks at sales as an obligation rather than a burden, they're going to know how to close that other 6, right? Getting them to potentially a 70% close rate. Okay. So anyways, we do state, then E is establish an authentic connection. Really connect deeply with that person. Look them in the eye on Zoom, show them that you care. Then we need to shift and shift into a leadership and authority frame. We need to frame the call and explain how this call is going to go, and how by the end of this call, you expect a decision to be made, right? Because the reason most people stay stuck in life is because they have the inability to make decisions, period. All right. You need to frame that and say, hey, it's okay if you tell me no, that's fine. But what I won't be comfortable with is indecision. Okay. So letting them know, hey, by the end of this call, if you feel like this program is right for you, can you give me a yes or no decision? A decision is the difference between people staying stuck and stagnant and actually making change. Then we want to label the problem, asking them, right? So why are we on the call today? What's working or what's not working the way that you wish it were, right? Then we label it. We clearly repeat back. And if we can communicate a prospect's problem better than they've been able to communicate it to themselves, they're going to have such deep conviction in our ability to help them because we've listened to them. Next, we identify the gap. Okay, we know what the problem is. Okay, where is it you want to go? And what's the gap there as to why you're not able to do this on your own? Okay, so we identify those things, we label them, we repeat back. Then we nail down the solution. That's when we pitch. That's when we show and we tell them how we're going to help them in a way that overcomes their fears, that shows them that this way is different, not telling them the how, but the what. Okay. And then we get a commitment, right? We get a yes or no. And if they say no, a no is literally just the part that comes before the yes, right? We have to challenge. We have to learn to objection overcome. We have to learn how to persuasively communicate and to listen and to help people through these challenges, because making a decision is hard, but it's your job as a coach to help people do the hard thing, right? That's literally what we're signing up to do. So the other ways to improve sales calls, and once you have a really strong proven process, is to listen back to your calls. Okay. Take a call, then listen to it. And it's just like if you're an athlete, maybe if you played sports in high school or college, what did you do a lot of the times? You watched a lot of game film. Why? Because it's super productive. You get to see and learn from your mistakes. So you got to listen to your calls. Number 3, having a strong pre-call process. That's pre-selling them before they actually get to the call. Through an effective application screening, asking the right questions that build value through that process, right? You can a lot of times just eliminate objections in advance by having a strong pre-call process. Lastly, follow-up, okay? So if you don't close them on the call, you need to have a strong follow-up system where you're either reaching out to your hot list. Hot lists are people that within 30 days, you know that they're on the fence, they're going to close. You have a process for that. And you have a process for people that it's like, okay, they might not sign up in 30 days. Maybe it's more like 60, 90, and you're giving them value. You're tagging them in posts. You're sending resources to them. You're staying in front of them for the long term, because remember, people buy one of two times. Okay. They either buy now or they buy later. So just because it's a no now doesn't mean it's not going to be a yes later. In fact, majority of the time it will be. So let me know if you guys are following with that so far. And again, just to recap, you can just take your close rate from 40 to 60%. You'll grow your business by 50%. Okay. Increase by 20%, grow by 50%. Pretty cool, right? Cool. Now let's talk about the next thing. I don't want to give it away. Show rates. What is a show rate? Show rate are the people that actually show up to your sales call, right? And here's how you determine that. So live calls are the calls that you've actually taken, that you've gotten on a phone call with, okay? Show rate is basically, all it is how many calls you've actually taken versus how many calls that you had booked. So let's say during a period, you had 76 booked calls and you had 45 live calls. That means you have a 59% show rate. Show rate is very important, all right? Very important. And I'll show you why. But generally speaking, you're looking for anywhere between 65 and 70%. We like in our business, 70% is our KPI. I'd like it to be higher. We're actually going to be working towards 80, but 70% is like bare minimum for me. All right. Now check this out. What if we took our show rate from just 59% to 70% and we changed nothing else, right? Just 59 to 70, what would happen? Well, let's say we're selling a $2,000 product and let's say that we're closing at 55%. Then we would grow our business by 25% just by getting more people to show up to the calls. We'd go from 25 closes to 31. We would go from about 50,000 in revenue generated all the way up to 62.7. And we'd go from 17,500 cash collected all the way to 21,945. Again, all this is doing is I'm going to share with you a couple simple processes that you can put in place to just get more people to show up to your calls. That means you don't need more calls. You don't need more leads. You don't need to do any more content or anything else. You're just becoming more efficient with what you do have. All right. So here's how to do that. Here's how to improve show rates. Number 1 is how you're structuring your availability. Okay. You should only allow people for the majority of the time to book a call with you within a 24-hour period. So we found that if somebody books a call within 24 hours, they have a 70+% likelihood of showing up. A lot of times it's much higher. Why? Because anything beyond 24, people start to get scared or cold feet or they forget, right? If we can get on a call with them as soon as possible, when they take that action of actually agreeing to get on a call, we're closer to that state of wanting to solve the problem. So what happens is if you go past 48 hours, it drops down to 50%. And anything past 40 hours, dog shit. So if you have a calendar that people can book sales calls, and it's open for a week and you have people booking out 6 days, the likelihood of that person actually showing up is extremely low. Okay. So you want to only allow people to book the majority of the time within 24 hours. Now, you want to keep an eye on your calendar though, because if you have like 5 slots tomorrow, 24 hours later, and it's like today, it's like, what time is it? It's 3:00 today, and all 5 of those spots are taken. Sure. Then you open up the next day. So you want to constantly just be looking at your calendar or having a team member do so. So that way you can try to get the majority of your calls booked within 24 hours. Because again, what will that do? Well, if you just do this, it will take your show rate up 20% like that. And it'll take your show rate 20% up, meaning it'll grow your business by 25%. Pretty cool, right? Immediately. So the other thing that you can do to improve show rates is stop with the automated text confirmations. It's not personal. People don't want to talk to robots. Now you can still have like the automations, but you want to have a personal text that goes out. So as soon as you get a call booked or somebody applies or whatever, you want to send them a text right away as soon as you can. Hey, name, it's Jordan from IFCA. Here's the Zoom link for our meeting at this time. Do you need anything else from me before our call? Don't say, are we still good at this time? We want to assume that they're still showing up to the call. We just want to know if they need anything else. And we're giving them the Zoom link to make sure they know where the call is. So then if they respond, you don't respond back. Okay. You don't respond back until the morning of the call. You simply then say, okay, awesome. Talk to you soon. What that does is it creates a little bit of push-pull effect. Okay. Kind of like a little kid. When you ignore a kid, what happens? That kid chases you around the playground, right? But if you're constantly like talking and chasing the kid wants to ignore you. So if you text and confirm, they respond, nope, I'm great. I can't wait to talk tomorrow. And you wait and respond the next morning, they're wondering like, hey, why didn't that person text me back? What's going on? Like, did I say something wrong? Then they see your text and they're excited. They're like, oh, good, we're still on. Okay. So they're more likely to show up in that instance. So if they don't respond, you just want to bump it up the day of the appointment, send a question mark. If they still haven't responded, then just say, hey, I haven't heard from you. Are we still on in 60 minutes? And if they still haven't responded, I would call them at the time of your call. Give them a call right away. Call them at the time of the appointment, because a lot of times they'll answer and just be like, oh man, I screwed up. I missed the calendar. I didn't see your text. I was busy. And then you can like reschedule that call right away. We get a lot of people who answer that call just because we're willing to go that extra mile. Okay, call them on their designated appointment time. If they don't answer that call, keep following up with them. They said they wanted to get on a call, right? They chose to. Now it's your job to follow up to make sure they do get on a call. Next, the very last thing, this is something that we've played around with and we might come back to it, but you can use what's called an ethical bribe. So when you go to confirm your appointment, you can say, hey, it's name from company. Here's the Zoom link. Is there anything you need from us before our call? They're going to say, no, or they might ask you a question. You just answer the question. Then you're going to say, okay, awesome. Everybody that I get on a call with, I like to provide some sort of a free resource to help you in your journey. So would you say that you're struggling more with how to grocery shop or more with what to eat for breakfast, right? Or something. Take 2 of your resources and ask them which one would be most helpful for you. And then when they say which one, be like, cool, well, I'm going to have that ready for you when we get on the call tomorrow. What this does is it brings out this law of reciprocity. If somebody knows that you have a gift for them, they're much more likely to show up to receive that gift than otherwise. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. Those are the 3 ways that you can improve your show rates. Okay. Now these other 2, I'm going to run through these rather quickly. These really only apply if you're scaling, if you're already at like 10K plus a month. And here's what they are. So the first thing is availability. So at a certain point, you're going to have to do an audit and figure out, do I actually have enough available call slots on my calendar to where people can actually book? Or do I not have available slots, right? Because what happens here, I'll just give an example. Availability means total available call slots. Another tip is to make sure your call slots are in either 15 or 30-minute increments. Because if you have them in there as like 1 hour, that's a bigger commitment for somebody to be like, well, I don't have an hour. but they have 15 minutes, so they have 30 minutes, you'll get more calls booked. So let's say you have 4 30-minute slots per day, 5 days a week available on your call link. That would be 88 available slots. Okay. Let's say your total booked calls, which is total number of scheduled calls during a period. Your booked ratio means total booked calls divided by total available call slots. So what you do is you'd look at the end of the month and you would say, okay, I had 88 available slots that month, and I had 76 booked calls. That tells me that I had an 86% booked ratio, which means not real good. I'd like to be at about 70%. Because if I cross 70%, that tells me that people might be coming to book a call with me, but there aren't enough available slots for them to choose from. So then they're changing their mind. Right? So what's that mean? How do we fix that? Well, there are a few ways you can fix it. Better qualifying process for people to get on a call with you, right? So better vetting, better questions in your application, that you can look at those application questions on the calls that you have in your calendar, and you can disqualify shitty leads and maybe just send them to a free resource or something, right? And you do that based on questions you ask on your application that you can review, and then you can dish off shitty leads. The next thing, you can free up some of your time and do more, like have an EA doing some of the things that you shouldn't be doing so you can take more calls, because there is nobody, or there's no higher leverage activity that you can do in your business than being on sales calls. That's the thing that makes the cash register ring, right? So how do you free up more time as a business owner? And if both of those things are checked off, it might be time for you to hire a closer. All right. These are all things that we help inside of IFCA. So you can hire a closer to help you take calls, right? Maybe you're still taking some, but now you have more slots available. And, it's like, sure, nobody's going to be able to sell your program as good as you, but you plus another person can sell better than just you. And 2 people can definitely sell better than you, right? Cool. This will immediately result in an increase in sales without adding any more leads into your system. Pretty simple, right? So that covers it. I'm going to go ahead and stop share. Hopefully that made sense. Just some quick value here today, guys. I wanted to just share with you again, like how you can make just some simple lever adjustments to help more people, to close more deals. And ultimately, like I said, to help more people, because that's what sales is. Selling is serving. All right. So if you can shift your perspective around this and start to double down on your skills in this area, you're gonna help more people and you're gonna make more money. Okay. And if you need help with any of this, of course, we review our clients' calls. We have a whole system in place that we plug in, and we just immediately, like one of the things we help our students do when they come in is just fix this, and their business grows easily. Right. Anyways, hopefully this is valuable. And if so, I'll see you on the next one.